Now I have started the recording. Sorry, I have forgotten to start the recording. So whatever half an hour we have done, we have missed that part. But fine, let me revise it over here. What we are understanding pseudo elements. So when you say pseudo elements in the CSS are used to style specific parts of the HTML, specific parts of the HTML. So I'm getting background noise. If you can mute yourself. Yeah. So pseudo elements in the CSS are used to style specific part of the HTML element. They are denoted by the double colon followed by the name of the pseudo element. The pseudo elements allow you to create and style the virtual elements or the parts of the elements that do not exist in the HTML markup but are generated by CSS. Now see, so this ABC is not actually there. This ABC is not actually there over here, but it is getting generated. So can you write HTML tag over here? If I write inside paragraph, well, this is wrong. Say strong, one of the HTML tag we have, or underline instead of doing this thing. Just make U and ABC. Now what will happen? Go here and refresh it. So it is not rendering it as a HTML. Can you see that? It is not rendering it as HTML, but plain but it is just showing you a plain HTML. So remember that whenever you say content, right, the content property in the CSS is used to insert the generated content, and it takes a string as its value. So in this case we are trying to add the HTML content, but this will not work. So you cannot do something like this. Remember that. So just to show you, I have written this code, right? If you want to add the HTML markup, you need to have some, yeah, go ahead.
On the browser.
Yeah, on the browser,
that part, right? Okay, just right, whatever, it's not taking. Okay.
right? It is not showing you as an underline. Technically, it should underline, right? So whatever ABC should be generated, that ABC needs to be underlined. So you cannot do something like, so this is a very important thing. So whenever as a beginner you use this content property, you might try to do something like this. It will not work. So here whatever value you pass over here, that would be considered as a string only. Can you see here? Content replacement, content list, or string over here. So this will not work. So if you want to do something like this, if you want to produce the dynamic content, the only way to do that thing is JavaScript. Just to show you that thing, I have added a U tag over here, but it didn't work. Okay. Now this is about what you can say after. Now there is something called as before also. P : before. Before also we can add content and AAA. Go here, refresh it. Can you see AAA before, and after that hi ABC. So if you want to add all the tick marks, so you might use emojis. Now emojis will work or not? Emojis will work. Can you see? Something like this. Content. Here
Yes,
I have added the.
example for the child.
Say that again.
Can we see the example of the child to you explained before?
Yeah. Now that's what I'm trying to show you over here. this is the paragraph, and consider that you are implementing to-do list. Consider that you are implementing to-do list, and you need to mark all tasks as completed. So instead you should write a code, and instead you should do something else over here. You can just say p : before content, like this. So before we have added some content, and after we have added some content. Before and after. A real-time example also I have explained. So these are the 10 P's or 10 paragraphs are available on my HTML. 10 paragraphs are available, and this is one task, this is another task, third one is another task. Oh, okay, example p : child 2. Now see, you cannot write : child 2, because when you say pseudo elements, these are the specified pseudo elements before, after, first line, and pseudo elements comes with the double colon, right? But whenever you go with the pseudo classes, they come with the single colon. And if you want to do something like that, child 2, right? If you want to do child 2, then you need to take a help of pseudo classes. So you need to combine this. Here you can say body colon, inside of body I want to select a paragraph, a second paragraph, nth child. Can you see? A second nth child, body. Inside body I need to select the second nth child, and before that child add question mark, tick mark. Refresh it. Can you see? Only after this a tick mark is getting added. Nth child, if you know the particular element, you may specify ID of that element, you may specify name of that element, or class of that element. So here I don't know any of that, but I just know the count 1, 2. So I know the body. Inside body there is a second element, and to that second element I need to, before the second element, I need to add this tick mark.
Yeah, thank you.
Clear, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so here we have combined pseudo classes. This is the pseudo class, remember that, this much. And this is the pseudo element. Pseudo class, pseudo element. So this is the pseudo class.
Can you like one more repeat the thing just like...
Yes. So if you know a class of particular element, if you know ID of the particular element, or if you know name of the particular element, you can write straight away that name of the element is P, and after the P I need to add this content. But here in some cases I don't know the name, I don't know the class, I don't know the ID, but by looking at the HTML I can tell you, okay, this is the third element inside this body, this div, this section, whatever. And so that I need to use I need to take a help of pseudo class to select this paragraph. Remember that this is the pseudo classes. They have named it as a pseudo classes. You cannot provide the class. That's why one class would be considered, that is the nth child. So here pseudo class, class name, and then after that pseudo element has been added before. So this is the pseudo class, nth child. Actual class is not there. No class you have applied. But CSS is doing some efforts for you to finding out this element and might be internally giving some class. And that's why nth hyphen child 2, nth hyphen child 2. So instead of giving the name of the element, ID of the element or class, what it is doing, it is giving you a pseudo class. Pseudo class means a fake class. Internally it is creating some fake class and then it is selecting the element internally.
Right. Basically, we can use a combination of pseudo class and pseudo element and pseudo is there any or does sequence matters every time?
Yes, first you need to select the element, first element name, and then class, sorry, element name of the element is
Oh,
p.
no, no, no. The first one is okay. Like the first, second for the body is
Same.
and then greater.
So what is this? This is the element. Instead of writing you directly element name, what you're trying to do, you're trying to get element by means of some calculation.
Right. Using a class. So that's what I'm saying. So, okay, that is like basically element and then pseudo element. But for here, by using pseudo class, we are calculating a element and then having pseudo
Correct.
element.
Correct.
Okay.
Now here three things are used. Three concepts are used in 567 line. Can you tell me what are that things? Now, if you have practiced earlier videos, then and only then you can answer this. So here three concepts are used to select particular paragraph. We have used three concepts.
I forgot the name, like why that greater than similar.
Correct.
Yeah.
So we have used.
You can see and the
So yeah.
sorry, go ahead.
So these things are nothing but the combinators.
Combinators, yeah.
Descendant selector combinator white space. Second, child selector. Now you can write like this also, descendant selector, right? And refresh it. Still it would be having same impact because you have used a combinator. Do not forget, div space p is a combinator. Descendant selector denoted by a white space character selects an element that is a descendant of another element. Child selector, child of p, child selector, child of p greater than sign. So here you have used three concepts. This is also one of the combinator. Space is also combinator, but generally we don't, generally human eye forgot to consider the space. That's why deliberately I am adding the child selector over here. Body, then combinator, then pseudo element, sorry, pseudo class and pseudo element, right? And this is how you are selecting second paragraph. Any question? Any question? Hello?
No. Yeah, definitely will need to practice with.
Yeah, correct. So you need to practice video by video. We have already covered these things in detail. Now as we progress, I would be using all those things. Now hence from now I would be using these things very freely. So whenever I write this code, you should reminded that, oh, it's pseudo class. Okay, double colons are there, which means that this is a pseudo element. Single colon is there, pseudo class. Double colon is there, pseudo element. Right. So before and after, we have seen before and after. Now there are few more things are also there, and whenever you talk about pseudo classes, so there is something called as selection. Now this is something specific. Selection part, remember that I'm trying to define over here. Let's have a paragraph, a lorem, so some random text, lorem ipsum, some random text would be there. Editor gives you that random text. Can you see a big text? Now what I wanted to do, I will write colon colon selection. Any paragraph would be getting selected. Now see, this is a root. Root means to this HTML, or specifically you can write this root also, something like this. So this is the pseudo class.
If you are not defining, it will go to HTML, the first activity.
Yes. Now see, just a minute, let me first complete one concept, then we'll come back to that thing. So I would say background color yellow and foreground color red. See, selection is pseudo, what you can say, element. Pseudo element works on, again you can go to the documentation. Pseudo elements are work on specific part of the selected element. Specific part of the selected element. And here if you see, just refresh it. Now can you see here, a selection is something different. This is what your select is. Can you see that? Background is becoming blue and foreground is becoming red if you don't write this thing. So colon colon selection means what? You are selecting all the elements. If you do just P colon colon this, so this, can you see, H1 will not work. H1 will not work because you are saying that for all elements. Now here, can you see, here also it will work. You said all elements, you didn't give anything specific, but if I say P, then you are saying all the paragraphs would be having this thing. Now you can write same thing for H1. If the H1 selection, and here background color black, foreground color white. Refresh it. Background color black, foreground color white, selection. But for the paragraph, it would be like this. Even you can increase the font size 3 em. Refresh it. Why it will not work? Can you tell me why this is not working?
So is it like we haven't defined the size for the HTML or what?
Anything else?
No.
Just think logically. Think logically.
This is with respect to some, I would say, as this is for paragraph, right? So This is with respect to 3M should be with respect to like some 11, right?
No, see,
Or
that will
specific.
work. That is not the case. If you do
Okay.
like this, font size 3em, 3em, that will work. That is not the concern. But think logically, if I select this, how shall I enlarge only this and not other thing? Because you are trying to add, or you are, what do you mean by pseudo element? It will work on the part of the HTML element. But when you increase the font of this, font size of this, what to do with other unselected portion? That is the question. There is no mechanism. So not all things are given, or not all things are allowed under the selection. Only text related like shadow, outline. So if you can see, let us see outline, auto, and refresh it, or outline. I think this will also not work in my opinion. Yeah, outline is also not working. So only, or border will also not work. 1px, solid red, it will not work. So it is simply asking you. So this is the interview type question. Remember that. So in a selection, what if I try to add the font size? Will it work or not? So your answer should be like this: only few properties are allowed. Only few text related properties are allowed, and layout related things you cannot do inside this. Whatever layouting, positioning related things are there, generally you cannot do inside this, but text related things are allowed. You getting my point? Hello?
Yes.
Selection. So this pseudo element we have seen, selection. Well, there are a lot of pseudo elements are available out there. Now see, for understanding this, you need to know the JavaScript. Whatever code they have written over here, you need to know that thing. Let's forget about this part. But as the part of the official documentation, you will find a lot of other properties also. Backdrop, before, queue region, first letter, first line, file selector button, this one, something like this, right? Input colon file selector button. So this is also one of the element. Grammar error, marker. If you see content this plus font size 1em, li marker. So here, okay, let me show you this part. OL, unordered list. Inside that LIs are there. Unordered or ordered,
Yeah.
ordered list, sorry. ABC, PQR, LMN, XYZ. Go here and refresh it. By default it is 1 2 3 4, and if you check this part, it says that I can allow you to, I'm allowing you to change this position also. Okay, it is adding numbers, so we can say UL, unordered list. So you might see a bullet points over here, bullets over here. So instead of bullets, I need to use a tick mark. So here you can say li colon marker, li colon marker, and here we can say content And anything over here, I want to have this emoji as a content. That's what they're saying over here. Even you can change the font size also. Font size 1.5 em. Go here, refresh it. Can you see? So it was not that easy earlier in earlier days, but now we can do this easily with the li colon marker. What it does? What it does? Something like this. Well, font size is way bigger. Just remove the font size and refresh it. See now, LIABC default or the custom things. If you remove this thing, it would be by default kind of thing. And I want to change. So this is also interview type question. Experienced people get this question. Removing this bullet, and instead of bullet, I need to use something else. What to do? This can be done in a lot of ways. But most correct way is marker pseudo element. This is the most correct way. And see allowable properties, font properties, white space, color, text combination, upper right. So they have given a lot of things over here. Animations and other things are also allowed. Right? Now what is this UL space li marker? Can you now whenever you look at the CSS, when you look at the CSS like this, can you tell me the meaning by looking at the CSS?
An ordered list and
Unordered list and
list item.
list item, correct. But my question is
Yeah,
that
list item.
but my question over here is that you need to tell like you need to read this CSS like experienced people or experienced person. How do you read this? Or how do you explain to someone what exactly has been done over here?
For the unordered list, whatever the items are available there, like we are marking that like color and right.
Color and font size, right? There are a lot of things over here. Now, just take 2 minutes, okay? 2 minutes and then think over here what exactly they have written, and then you can tell me. Consider that you are full stack engineer or web designer. You need to explain this thing to your junior. How do you do that? Both of you need to answer.
And
Yeah, go ahead.
the result of that is under
Go ahead.
that I can see the result under that page.
No, but I just need to know this CSS we didn't write. This CSS is available on the official documentation. I would like to see your understanding on this CSS. Okay, let me tell you.
So,
Yeah, go ahead.
see, this is marker, right? So basically, example, we just use emoji or that checkbox, right? So
Correct.
this will turn that thing, not the list item. The content will be as is, but instead of bullet point to something, it will turn. Yeah, yeah, right. It will turn the red and with that particular size.
Yeah.
We are changing the size of the bullet points here, example, not
Uh-huh.
the
Got it. which means that you can interpret the output, but I'm not interested in the output it will produce. My interest is that how do you explain this to your junior? What is this? So UL you have written, so you need to explain UL also. What is a UL? Unordered list.
Unordered list.
Okay. Then there is a space in between over here. What do you mean by space? You need to explain that. Descendant selector. It's a combinator.
It's a
It's a
yes,
combinator.
yeah.
Okay. So first you will say UL is unordered list. Between there is a space, and the space is nothing but descendant selector. Then LI. LI stands for list item and colon marker. What do you mean by this colon marker? Pseudo element. So how do you explain this line? Well, this line will select all the LIs only inside unordered list. Remember that. This line will select all the list items inside unordered list, and it will add a dynamic content which is nothing but what? Marker. Which is nothing but what? Marker pseudo element. So use of the marker pseudo element is that coloring red. So what it will color red? For that you need to know what is the default behavior of the LI. Default behavior of the LI and UL and LI, if you use together, they produce the black bullet points, right? So when you say color red, so instead of the black bullet, your color would be red. Now here also you need to say color is a property, and in a color we can select the color or we can apply the color in three ways. If you remember, we can apply color in three ways: named colors, hex colors, right? Where is that? Named color model. Okay, here they have used named color model. This can be hex, this can be RGB, and this can be HSG, named color model. Hex values, okay, RGB, HSL function, right? So you can set the color in three ways, four ways. Out of that they have used first way, a named color model over here. Then the font size is a property which is related to the fonts. Then 1.5 EM. What do you mean by EM? You need to explain 1.5 and meaning of EM. EM is nothing but what? Element size. It will give to the parent element size, whatever size of the parent, according to that it will try to calculate the pixel value over here. So whenever you explain this line, you need to explain in this way. There is one, so this much thing will select all the list items inside unordered list, and those list items would be added, or those list items would be added with the content color red and font size 1.5 EM. For that you need to know the default behavior of the LI. Default LI creates the black bullets. Bullets would be red, and the font size given to them would be 1.5 EM. So whenever you explain this to someone, try to explain each and every word, whatever you see here, which will help you to understand the things. Correct? So whenever you see any of the CSS, so these are just three lines. Why I have chosen these three lines? Because I have not written in front of you, someone else have written this. But what is your interpretation on this? That is important, right? What is your interpretation? In this way you need to interpret it, and this is the output. And that's why whenever you practice, try to get a help of official documentations, and I will request you to work ChatGPT extensively, right? I'm requesting you, use ChatGPT extensively. Ask any of your queries, If possible, you may take a paid version of it, if possible, otherwise you may forget that, but you may use a free one, but use extensively. Correct. So you can copy paste this and give it to ChatGPT and ask, explain me line by line, word by word. It will explain you. Well, we would be having a separate session on that, how to use ChatGPT. But in short, you need to know whatever we have done over here very clearly. So whenever you say setting the color red, so when you say by looking at this, you can just say, oh, it will set a red color. But web designer will say that color can be set in the 4 ways by using named color model, hex values, RGBA, HSLA, right? And out of that over here, named color model is used. HTML and the CSS have given few names. If you see here, can you see again here named color model? So this can be hash ff0000, again hex value. We can give RGBA also, RGB, red, green, blue, 255, 0 and 0, again it's red. So we have generated red in how many ways? In these ways. Hue saturation over here, and the lightness from here also we can generate. So these are some percentages, right? Hue saturation, and I hope you are reading the notes also. See, official documentation is extensive. Lot of things are there. Even I forget what to read when I go over here. And that's why I personally started to preparing notes. Whenever I learn something, I prepare notes. And same analogy I have used in the classes also. Hue, saturation, lightness. So represents the actual color between 0 to 120 degrees. Right? So sorry, 0 degrees, red is 0 degree, green is 120 degree, and blue is 240 degree. Saturation is the amount of gray color, and lightness, amount of bright color. So you can use that model also. No one is stopping you. But just to keep the things simple over here, we simply write red, but you can write a lot of things over here. And at the time of understanding, try to connect all the things by looking at this CSS, right? Hello, am I audible? Yeah. So this is about pseudo elements. Well, there are a lot of pseudo elements we have. Pseudo elements, CSS3 selectors, pseudo elements. But the basic operation of the pseudo elements or basic working of the pseudo elements would be like this. Once you know what is pseudo element, you can use it anywhere. Okay, let me push this much code, and here we can say CSS3 pseudo elements. Okay.
Then how like portion you have covered for like CSS and like when are we starting like we just wanted to like where are you?
Yeah.
Where are we?
So presently we are at the selectors over here, right? Shadow we already have covered. Inheritance is simple thing, no, not a big deal. Now right after this, so these topics are very important. So transition and animation are not that important, but positions, floats, layout are very important things. Those things we need to start as early as possible. Now I'm planning to start after the inheritance. I will start with the specificity, and immediately we will go with the positions and the floats. Position, floats, layouts. In the layouts, flexbox and the grid layout. You can consider 1, 2, 3 1, 2, 3, 4 are extremely important topics. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? These 4. I can mark star also over here. These are very important things. These things are very important. Well, all the things are important, but if you ask me, if I want to mark, these are important ones. I told you CSS is extensive. So once you have a good holds on the CSS, you can build anything. Even you don't need to learn any of the framework. These are the things which are important. So we are here at this. So tomorrow our inheritance would be getting completed, and the specificity. These 2 topics we can cover tomorrow. And we will jump to the positions, floats and layouts. Okay?
Okay. Yeah, Professor,
Yes.
are we going to see tailwind?
Yeah, tailwind we are going to see.
Okay.
For you, it is there. Means in your track, tailwind is there.
What is the tail? I'm sorry. Is it part of CSS?
No, it's a altogether different CSS framework.
Oh, okay.
It is not related to the basic CSS or HTML. It is altogether different framework.
No.
Third-party framework. You got it about the syllabus? Is it clear?
Yeah. Yeah. So basically, like after 10, around 10 sessions, probably. So 10, 8 or 9, 10 sessions, we'll be starting with the
JS, correct.
yeah. So we'll prepare like or practice those things. So that's the reason I was asking.
Yes. So what I will recommend you is that watch the video, type the code. Watch the video, type the code. You can do in that way. Okay. Fine. We can conclude the today's session. We'll start inheritance. Just one liner of code is there. Specificity is easy, not a big deal. Real challenge is that, so all these the star mark topics related to the layouting of your web page. Very important. Fine, we'll see time to time. Okay? Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you. Yes, I'm stopping the recording and disconnecting.